Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AmericanMade Network EROBOT Prize info session with New Lab. I'm Shana Horowitz, and I'm part of the New Lab team. Many of you might be familiar with our work here, but others could be encountering us for the first time today. So first off, thanks for joining us. And for those of you not familiar with New Lab, we are a community of experts and innovators applying transformative technology to help solve the world's biggest challenges. Through our membership and our studios, we help to bring together entrepreneurs, engineers, inventors, and industry leaders to create sustainable solutions and enterprises. And we employ technologies, including robotics, which is going to be a topic of discussion today, AI, and even material science to help transform what matters most: our health, our environment, media, cities, and infrastructure. New Lab recently became a power connector for the AmericanMade Challenge series, and we're thrilled to be working with the Department of Energy to support the EROBOT Prize, which is what we're going to be discussing today. So this prize is all about applying advanced robotics for building envelope retrofits, a major opportunity to help improve the sustainability of our built environment and to support the future of the US workforce as well. So we've got a great lineup of speakers, and they're going to be sharing about the prize and also, frankly, inspiring us to think about the future of energy and how technologies ranging from robotics to 5G can support energy innovation. So one housekeeping note before I hand it over to Emily and to Sarah. Throughout this session, our speakers will field questions from the audience. So to ask a question, just click on the Q&A button and type it out there, and then I'll help to get those in front of our panelists. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Emily Evans, who's the prize administrator for the AmericanMade Challenges, and to Sarah Truitt from the National Renewable Energy Lab. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. We will go ahead and get started here. This is a presentation of the AmericanMade Challenges program, as well as a deep dive into the EROBOT Prize. We are very, very excited to be here to present to you about the AmericanMade Challenges and the EROBOT Prize. A little bit of background: the AmericanMade Challenges program was developed and is led by the U.S. Department of Energy and is administered by the U.S. National Renewable Energy Laboratory. My name is Emily Evans, like I said, and I'm from the National Renewable Energy Lab, and I am joined today by my colleague Sarah Truitt, also from NREL. Our presentation will introduce you to the AmericanMade Challenges and the EROBOT program. First, we're going to cover a brief overview of the AmericanMade Challenges program and the AmericanMade Network. So the AmericanMade Challenges was developed to help energize American ingenuity and empower innovators to create groundbreaking energy solutions and turn their ideas into reality in a matter of months instead of years. The AmericanMade Challenges achieves this goal by connecting teams with knowledge, resources, and access to experts in their field to rapidly transform their ideas into prototypes and beyond. In addition, the program connects participants with US DOE national labs, incubators, accelerators, and other facilities through the AmericanMade Network to further support their innovations. The AmericanMade Challenges program runs a variety of renewable energy innovation challenges, including the EROBOT Prize, looking at robotics and building retrofits, solar technology, hydropower, geothermal innovation, and many, many more. If you are interested in learning more about the program or any of the prizes we run, I encourage you to visit our website, AmericanMadeChallenges.org. So we've mentioned the network. Our AmericanMade Network is growing and getting stronger every day. We currently have more than 130 network partners representing 31 states. We are proud to connect our teams to 17 DOE national laboratories to enable them to get access to staff, resources, and laboratories that are traditionally very hard to get. We are always looking for new connectors to join our network. So if you are in the audience today and you're interested in helping teams succeed on the eRobot Prize or another AMC challenge, we would love to have you join our network. Just go to our website and follow the links to connect with us. Connectors are organizations that have raised their hand and said, hey, I don't want to necessarily compete as a competitor, but I really want to support what you're doing with the AmericanMade Challenges program. I want to help these companies to succeed and do well in the challenges and then grow their innovations to startups and beyond. Connectors help our teams in a variety of ways. They help with generating excitement for the AMC prizes and helping us to get the word out, mentoring entrepreneurs, providing in-kind resources, accelerating product design, developing, validating, and testing solutions, and supporting ideation. If you are a US-based organization and interested in being a connector, just go to AmericanMadeChallenges.org and follow the links to connect with us. And now it's my pleasure to hand things over to Sarah to talk about the eRobot Prize. Sarah, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Emily. So my name is Sarah Truitt. I also work at NREL, or the National Renewable Energy Lab. And we are here to talk about eRobot. That is the envelope retrofit opportunities for building optimization technologies. So that's a bit of a mouthful, but it stands for eRobot. And what we are looking to do is to bring the robotics industry together with the building retrofit industry. So we have a $5 million prize competition that's divided into 2 phases that we'll talk about a little bit later. That $5 million is split up into $4 million in cash prizes for teams and $1 million in rewards for these national network of support organizations that Emily had just spoken about. So now to give you a little more idea about the concept, we're going to listen to a video and watch a video.
Environmentally friendly and superior energy performance. That is the future of buildings. Buildings are the largest sector of the U.S. energy economy, with more than 126 million buildings spanning the United States. They use 74% of our nation's electricity, account for 39% of total energy use, and 35% of CO2 emissions from energy consumption, more than any other sector in America. In terms of energy and climate, buildings present a big challenge. Fortunately, necessity is the mother of invention, and new innovations hold promise for cutting costs and preserving our planet. Available retrofit technologies and approaches could significantly cut an average building's energy use, but only a small portion of existing buildings undergo envelope retrofits. Increasing our envelope retrofit rates and reducing energy use in the existing building stock by just 20% could save up to $80 billion per year in energy bills. But many obstacles stand in the way of these upgrades. For one, today's envelope retrofit products and processes are not only disruptive to homeowners and building occupants, they can also create health and safety hazards for construction workers who frequently need to access tight spaces. So, how do we deliver envelope improvements with less pain and more gain? Enter the American-Made Buildings Prize called eRobot. Launched by the Department of Energy's Building Technologies Office, the eRobot Prize calls on innovators to use robotics to develop minimally invasive, low-cost, and holistic building envelope retrofit solutions. We're counting on you to make retrofits safer, faster, more convenient, and more reliable. This 2-phased program provides a total of $5 million in cash prizes and support to competing teams and network partners for solutions that create greater job opportunities, improve safety and efficiency for workers, and reduce building retrofit costs. Have an idea? Join the American-Made Buildings Prize eRobot today.
So that video is also available on our website at AmericanMadeChallenges.org. So this slide really just gives you some of those statistics that were in the video in written form. If you'd like those. I believe that you'll get the slide deck after this presentation. But as you heard, the built environment presents a great opportunity for saving not only energy and money, but also carbon in our built environment. And only about 2% of our homes and buildings undergo a building envelope retrofit because it's hard, because it's invasive, because it's costly. And just to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about with a building envelope, it is the spaces that separate basically the inside from the outside. So it's your walls, your floors, your attic, and your roof. So that's what we're talking about with our building envelope retrofits. And what we're targeting in this prize is the opaque building envelope. So everything you can't see through. So not windows, not doors. So everything else in your building envelope. And the market opportunity is really big. We have over 126 million buildings in the US. Over half of those were built 40 years ago, meaning they're pretty inefficient. So there's a huge opportunity of buildings, a huge market that are ripe for retrofits right now. And the global market for construction robotics is projected to grow very fast over the next 6 years. Right now, the US has captured about 30% of the construction robotics market, and we would expect that to hold throughout the next decade or so. So what we're looking for in EROBOT is a holistic, low-cost, minimally invasive solution. So air sealing, for example, that's one building retrofit, envelope retrofit that happens now. That costs about $2 per square foot. So we're looking for solutions that can get to 50% of that cost, and to do it safer, faster, better. So cost is the key barrier, and it's the installation cost that we're really seeing as the problem, which is why we think bringing robotics in is a perfect solution. So an analogy we like to use is you can think of our retrofits of today like Openheart Surgery of the past, where you had to crack open the rib cage, you get in there, it was very invasive, a lot of downtime, a lot of recovery time. Our retrofits of the future want to be more like our surgeries of today, where we have far less recovery time for our patients. It's far less invasive today. So how do we get from open heart surgery to the mid-cab surgery we have today? We are hoping that we can get you all innovators out there to come into the EROBOT prize with one or more of these 3 solutions. So we're looking for sensing and inspection tools. So that means that we want this tool to be able to assess what the defect is, where there might be holes in the insulation that would need to be retrofitted. And then we want a mapping tool. So your tool needs to be able to understand the geometry and the spatial relationship so that it knows where to put the insulation or apply the remediation. And then the tool actually needs to be able to do the remediation. So in phase 1, we're looking at a single solution. You can have just one of these pieces, but in phase 2, we want you to come together with an entire solution. So phase 1 we're in right now, it's a 6-month phase. It will close May 12th. And in phase 1, we're looking again for, it could just be a partial solution. In phase 2, which will be another 6 months phase, we want you to come together to have a whole solution that can identify the defect, correct the defect, and then ensure that it was done correctly. And with that, I will hand it back over to Emily to give you a few more details.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm just going to run through some of the specifics around available prizes, submission elements, and deadlines just real quick before we go to our next speaker. So as Sarah mentioned, there's 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1, we are awarding 10 winners with a $200,000 cash prize each. And when we say cash prize, that is direct money to you. There are no restrictions about how you have to use the prize money. There's no deliverables after the fact. Once you win that cash award, it's yours. We hope you take it, use it to support your innovation and your concept and your company in phase 2. But that's entirely up to you. Phase 2, we will award up to 4 winners, splitting a $2 million prize pool. In each phase, phase 1 and phase 2 is 6 months in duration. Like we said at the top of the presentation, connectors, which are those organizations within the AmericanMade Network that are there to support connectors, are rewarded for helping us to promote the EROBOT prize. Sarah and I are happy to join future webinars if anyone's out there and wants to become a connector to help get the word out about this prize. And then connectors are also eligible for mentorship awards for supporting winning teams and non-winning teams. You can see those cash prizes there. We're awarding up to 10 for winning support to winning teams at $10,000 a piece. And then support to non-winning teams will split a prize pool of $250K. So really exciting, lots of awards. And that again is cash awards. There's no strings attached. You can use that to support your business and provide potentially more support to teams. Phase 1 submission elements, when you go into our HeroX page, that's herox.com/eRobot. That's our day-to-day prize page where we're going to facilitate you uploading your submissions and all the information that you need to know, as well as events. But in HeroX, when you go to submit your phase 1 submission, we're going to ask you for a cover page, a submission slide, a 90-second to 2-minute video, a technical narrative up to 10 pages, design specifications up to 5 pages, and letters of commitment or support. So all of those items there, that's what will make up your phase 1 submission element. We have the rules posted. I would encourage everyone who's interested in either competing as a competitor or supporting competitors as a connector to go to the HeroX page. I see that Shayna has just put that in the chat. There you will find a link to the official rules document. If you go to the HeroX page, click on the resources tab, it's listed there, or there's a direct link on your screen as well. The rules have important information about the submission elements, expectations, as well as lots of really good information about what the prize administration team is looking for in submissions. So if you want to submit a really strong submission, first stop is to read the rules document. Important deadlines. The phase 1 contest opened on November 16th. No problem if you're just learning about it today. There's still plenty of time to put together a submission. The phase 1 contest deadline is May 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern. That is a firm deadline. My second tip and trick after reading the rules document is to get your submission in early. Don't wait till the last minute. That's a firm cutoff. If you're halfway through uploading your submission at 5:01, the submit button is going to go away. So get it in early. Even if you get it in the day before or the morning of, you can always go back and tweak it right up into that deadline, but don't put yourself in the position where you're scrambling at the last minute. And then we expect to announce phase 1 contest winners in July of 2021. Those dates always shift around a little bit, but generally that's what we're anticipating. And there's nothing left for you to do except to get started. We're so excited that you're here. We really want you to join this prize competition. We're so excited about all of the enthusiasm we're seeing. We think it's going to be a great prize. You can go to AmericanMadeChallenges.org/eRobot. That will also have a link to the HeroX page. And you can always email us at erobot.prize@nrel.gov. And then finally, we're gonna probably plug it a few times, but New Lab is helping us with a teaming event on March 3rd. from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. This is an opportunity for you to come get engaged a little bit more deeply with the prize, hear from a great panel, and then most of the session is going to be focused on providing networking opportunities. If you are interested in, say you're a robotics expert and you're like, man, I really need to have a retrofit expert on my team. That is a great opportunity to get out there, meet other competitors, fill those gaps in your team before the submission deadline in May. So please join. We're really excited about it. And with that, I believe that will conclude our presentation, and we'll go ahead and hand it back over to Shayna.
Great. Thanks, everyone. That was great. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to give you guys, I'm going to combine kind of two questions that we just got from the audience that I think can be answered well together. So the first one is, what specific types of technology are of interest for the EROBOT prize? And then I'm going to combine that one with the second question, which is, do teams need to develop all aspects of their solution, or can they use some off-the-shelf components?
So first one, what types of technologies? So anything that could perform a building envelope retrofit, such as air sealing. So anything that maybe could sense leaks in your ductwork and seal those leaks, or insulation. Blowing in insulation is another retrofit. The functions of the technology we're looking for are the sensing, inspection, the mapping, and the actual remediation itself. And yes, you could use off-the-shelf technologies. You just have to bring them together into a holistic package that will do the solution, will do the retrofit from start to finish. And that means identify what's wrong, fix it, and then inspect it to make sure that it was fixed correctly.
Great. Thank you for that. All right, let's keep going to our next speaker. Next up, we have Frank Yang, who's a partner at ADL Ventures. So Frank, I'll give you the floor.
Okay, great. Really appreciate everybody's time. So just to introduce a little bit of my background, I've been in the energy sector and the building sector for almost 20 years. I'm a partner with ADL, and like most of the partners at ADL, I also have my own startup that works in the insulation area. We're developing a non-flammable insulation. So really excited to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing as a power connector here at ADL on this challenge, as well as sort of some of our general views on the building sector and the retrofit space. So next slide. So a little bit about what ADL does. We are a innovation consulting or venture consulting firm, and then what we primarily do is work in buildings, utilities, and transportation sectors. So our primary clients are corporates and government agencies, such as MREL. And if you think about the projects that we do, they generally break down into two categories. So on the recruitment, on what we call spinning in technologies, we're working with folks like NREL as well as corporates on prizes and challenges like this to bring in novel technologies and to accelerate and increase the sourcing, as well as the filtering of those technologies. And then on the spin out side, we're actually oftentimes working with corporate clients to spin out new companies and new business units out of internal IP that they've generated, and also some of our work with DOE, working with DOE on scaling up DOE funded technologies for commercialization. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what ADL is doing. So we can move on to the next slide. So we like to refer to ourselves as a do tank as opposed to a think tank. And, I think what's very central to our work is that, as I mentioned, all the partners and principals of ADL have a lot of operating experience, both in startups and in the corporate world. So this is just a little bit of a flavor of some of the work that we've done. Like I said, we've worked with a lot of corporate clients in the buildings and energy sectors on prizes and challenges. Also on launching new companies and new business units, both with corporate as well as venture-backed players. And of course, as I mentioned, NREL and the Department of Energy as a whole has been a great partner for us on the government side. So I think specifically relevant to this particular effort, we're working not only on the AmericanMade Challenges, but also on the Advanced Building Collaborative with the Building Technologies Office and then Rocky Mountain Institute, who's really one of the preeminent players in the retrofit space. So we can move to the next slide. Just recapping a little bit some of ADL's industry focus. So as I mentioned, buildings, energy, transportation. I think those all sort of converge around sort of the future theme of smart cities. And as I mentioned, all of ADL's partners have experience working not only in large corporates in these sectors, but also as entrepreneurs that have commercialized and started technologies. And so as Emily and team know, we've been doing a lot of mentoring for the American-Made Solar Prize, and look forward to working with a lot of you on similar work here with EROBOT. Next. So we just want to talk a little bit about sort of the magnitude and the scale of the retrofit problem in the U.S. and I heard a number earlier in the presentation regarding the overall number of buildings in the U.S. And of course, I think that the backdrop for this is that retrofit buildings are several orders of magnitude higher than the sort of the average annual opportunity for new buildings. And of course, existing buildings use 42% of our nation's energy. And so the question is, how can you attack this retrofit issue? And as Sarah and Emily noted, how can you do this without actually creating disruption to occupants, disruption to building owners, including loss of income and revenue, and how can you actually do that in a way where technologies can still be implemented cost effectively? So I think that's sort of at the heart of what all of our groups here are working on relative to EROBOT, and really excited to see some of the technologies that all of you will be putting forward for this competition. So next. And I think sort of a broader backdrop as well is that this comes from a couple of presentations that DOE and NREL have given on the new administration. There's a ambition in the next 4 years to trigger work that's going to lead to the upgrading of 4 million buildings, and then very specifically around different retrofitting initiatives like energy efficiency retrofits, even getting into things like appliances and weatherization. And that, of course, is a significant trigger not only for energy savings but also job creation nationwide. And so we really think what all of you are doing here in the room as retrofit entrepreneurs can be a real win-win, I think, both on the federal side as well as for the participants in the private sector. Next. So I wanted to just touch real quick on some of the key trends in retrofitting. So we highlighted 4 general areas here across building envelope, HVAC, lighting, and water heating. Obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about building envelope, about things like insulation and drywall, and the ability to do those in a way that's easy to install and not disruptive. I think on HVAC, what you're seeing, and this is in some of the DOE projects that are part of our ABC collaborative, is the move toward not only more efficient systems, but better integrated systems like fully integrated mechanical pods and such. And then, of course, lighting, probably represents one of the most easily addressable opportunities, in most buildings. And so I think to think about sort of our buildings challenge that we face today, we've got to sort of think about all these areas from sort of the easiest to the hardest. And I think one trend that I'll highlight that, ADL as well as RMI and DOE are working on as part of the ABC collaborative, which I think is prevalent not only in the U.S. but in the market globally, is again, I think sort of this push toward integrated solutions. So can you actually provide technologies or packages of technologies that can give building owners and occupants more than one of these things, in a way that's cost effective and not intrusive. And I think that's the direction we see the retrofit, space moving into. So of course, many of you may be familiar with Energy Sprong in the Netherlands, where they do fully unitized, wall panels, which are also integrated with renewables and, other energy improvements. And I think there's been some work not only at the DOE level, but also at the state level by folks like California and New York to adopt some of those practices, here in the U.S. But I think this is challenging because the U.S. is a very large market. Building stock is different in every climate zone. Energy needs and economic profiles is also different across regions as well. And so I think that's where folks like yourself are needed for better solutions, more efficient solutions, solutions that are easier and more automated to install. So I think things that check multiple boxes. And of course, as you think about EROBOT, you're going to be part of a competition that not only has a phase one, but like many of the DOE things that we're participating in today, has a phase two that requires a very robust, teaming element. So thinking about how your solution fits not only in this ecosystem as an individual technology, but potentially with other technologies on specific types of buildings and on specific applications, I think is something we'd really encourage you to think about. It's an area that ADL has done a lot of work in, and we welcome your input and questions as we go through this recruitment process. Next. So we just also wanted to highlight, some of the other technical opportunities we see as existing. Part of what ADL does is on its work in all these projects is to do a fairly detailed screen of the existing literature that's in the technical field. So things that were mentioned here, like non-destructive testing methods, like virtual sensing. And various, sort of smart platforms, I think are all becoming, prevalent. I'd highlight in particular on, things like sensing. This is an area that's just, really taken off, particularly with some of the IoT and smart home technologies that are coming out. So even yesterday, I was looking at Home Depot, and I was very surprised that there were tons of sensors available for leak detection that could hook up very easily to your, Wi-Fi. And I would imagine that in the work that ADL has done, since buildings is not an area that's heavily published in scientific literature traditionally, like something like maybe semiconductors or solar or battery storage, we'd encourage all innovators in any of these relevant areas, whether you're working in the building field today or not, to submit relevant applications. I think one thing we consistently find at ADL is that the groups that come in and actually present the best technologies and win these challenges often are not groups from a specific, narrow application that's relevant. They may be from something adjacent and have a technology that, through this process, we can help them uncover a new way to address a need. So anything in each of the last two slides, if you have something relevant, feel free to come to us for advice, come to us for input, and see if you can put together a competitive application. And I think that's it for ADL. So appreciate everybody's time, and we'll look forward to answering some questions later.
Thank you, Frank. I really appreciate that, and love that last point that don't discount yourself, even if this space is a little bit new to you. That's something that we see a lot at New Lab as well. There's oftentimes technologies that are being developed for one application area, but could certainly be relevant to another. It's just about kind of uncovering and better understanding that problem space. So really appreciate that perspective. In the interest of time, I'm going to pass it right to our next speaker, to Rachel Jarrett from Verizon. So we're going to zoom out a little bit and just keep the prize in mind, but also just talk about broader trends when it comes to energy innovation and specifically the role of 5G within energy innovation. So Rachel, I'll pass it to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Shana. I think we can go on to the next slide. Okay, awesome. So I'll start with a quick overview of myself. I'm Rachel Jarrett. I sit on the new business incubation team at Verizon, where I lead ecosystem development and growth. The new business incubation team sits within Verizon's strategy organization, and our mission is to scale new automation businesses fueled by the inherent orchestration power of the 5G future. We focus on the development and validation of some of the most transformational future technologies, including terrestrial and aerial robots, location technology, and industrial IoT, all of which are relevant to our conversation today. So coming right after Frank's great overview and all the speakers before me, I'm happy to share a little bit on 5G and how it can be an enabler across that horizontal stack within a retrofitted building. And we'll start with just an overview on 5G. So what is 5G? 5G at its simplest level is the 5th generation of wireless technology. And to understand 5G, it's really helpful to understand what came before it. So we started with 1G, which was voice-only analog capabilities. Then 2G introduced the digital world, which allowed us to send short messages, TTYL. Then we moved to 3G, which provided the essential network speeds for accessing the internet through smartphones. And I think a lot of you might remember very slow internet. Then 4G gave us faster data transfer rates and rise to many of the connected devices and services that we rely on today. And one great example of that is Uber. And the move from 3G to 4G gave us a significant network improvement, but the jump from 4G to 5G will be transformative. Previous generations only improved 2 components of cellular capability, and those were speed and throughput. 5G provides us 6 additional inherent advantages, including ultra-low latency, energy efficiency, ultra-reliability, and more. So we're not talking about a step function, but something new altogether. 5G is paving the way for an array of unprecedented innovation that will reshape cities, businesses, and societies as a whole. 5G has already started to usher in the 4th industrial revolution, which is an era of technology-led disruption and innovation that has huge potential to change how we do things. And this becomes possible because of the capabilities that 5G introduces. When we talk about 5G, speed will be faster and with massive bandwidth, but beyond that, we have other capabilities, or what we call the currencies of 5G. There are 8 currencies total: throughput, service deployment, mobility, connected devices, energy efficiency, data volume, latency, and reliability. And we'll kind of walk through a few of those and see how they relate to some of our conversation today. So latency is the time it takes for data to travel from a user over the network to the central processor and back again. With 5G, we'll see lower than ever latency at sub 10 milliseconds expected. Data volume refers to the amount of data that can be sent over the network. And that combination of super low latency with high data volume introduces all kinds of new applications. So think about a doctor or first responder being able to get data intensive information like full body scans or building plans in seconds. Looking at a few more of the currencies, energy efficiency. 5G will have lower energy requirements for network operations. Also with 5G, complex functions that happen within the network near the end user. And so that means that the user's device doesn't need as much processing capability and will consume less energy. And we're going to look at an example of what that actually means. Connected devices refers to the number of devices that can be connected within a given space. And with 5G, we're talking about over 1 million devices able to send and receive data within less than half a mile. So think about that in the context of making buildings smarter and more energy efficient. As we introduce new sensors, like we spoke about HVAC, lighting, whatever it is, we can use 5G to connect and manage those devices, all while using less energy. And Verizon is building out the infrastructure for all 8 currencies. And so when we say 5G, we mean it. That means a lot of planning, testing, and innovation go into our network. I think this slide was supposed to come a little earlier, but like I said, new business incubation team, we're focused on the kind of next businesses for Verizon that all are lean on and rely on 5G. So I think we can go on to the next slide. So just to kind of better understand what 5G enables in this context. With New Lab, Verizon's created the 5G Studio to support next generation industry applications of 5G technology. One of the studio participants, Ghost Robotics, creates dynamic legged robots that are highly durable, agile, and autonomous. They can be and are currently used across different applications in military, public safety, enterprise. And when we think about building inspection, mapping, asset monitoring, autonomous mobile robots have a huge role to play. They're basically sensors that move around, and think about that kind of need to get different data from different devices and things. Why do they need 5G? Ghost Robotics, which works across different environments, require high bandwidth and a stable network for remote teleoperations and processing of robot data. In the program with Verizon, Ghost Robotics looked to offload navigation software and processing to the 5G network. And this is a unique capability made processed by 5G in MEC, or mobile edge compute, where data-intensive processing can happen over the network rather than on a device, meaning less compute is required on board on the robot, resulting in longer battery life, now that the robot doesn't need all those heavy compute resources on board. And whether we're talking about robots or sensors, 5G enables this ability to centralize compute processing over the network. When retrofitting buildings, 5G will be a huge enabler. And so it's impossible to think about more connected and energy efficient buildings without thinking about the role that 5G will play. And I think that is it for me.
Thank you, Rachel. Much appreciated. All right. Well, in the interest of time, I'm gonna keep us moving and just make sure that we have a moment to again highlight kind of two places to go if the content here is resonating and you're interested in just mulling over more about the EROBOT prize and what it takes to submit an application, meet other people who you might team up with. I've dropped into the chat the link to the HeroX page. So that's the home base for all the resources about the EROBOT prize. And then last thing, just want to highlight on March 3rd, New Lab and the EROBOT prize team are again hosting a teaming event. So if you've got one slice of a solution and you're looking for other team members, or you just want to have an opportunity to network with people who have relevant expertise who might be able to help you strengthen your submission for the EROBOT prize, would definitely encourage you to sign up for that. There'll be a few presentations and kind of panelists you'll get to hear from, but really the focus for that session will be on making sure that you have time to connect with one another and to learn from one another and hopefully spark some connections that could lead to stronger and more holistic EROBOT prize submissions and eventually solutions. Emily, is there anything else that I'm missing that you want to highlight for the group here?
No, thank you so much for hosting this session. Thank you to everyone who has attended. We are so happy that you're here and we can't wait to see you in phase 1 of the competition.
Fantastic. And thank you again, Rachel and Frank and Emily and Sarah, for making time to be part of this session today. Your expertise is always appreciated, and thank you again. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.